When Elias was 12 years old, he believed intelligence was something people were born with, like eye color or height. In his small town, students were labeled early. The smart ones sat in the front rows, praised by teachers, admired by parents. The rest were silently sorted into another group, expected to struggle and eventually accept average lives. Elias belonged to that second group. His grades were ordinary, his confidence even lower. He studied but not with belief. He memorized but without purpose. School felt like a daily reminder of what he thought he was not. One evening, while cleaning an old storage room in his house, Elias found a worn notebook filled with handwritten notes. It belonged to his grandfather, a man Elias barely remembered but whom everyone described as disciplined and self-made. Inside the notebook were thoughts about success, written in simple language. One sentence stopped Elias completely. The mind grows only when it is given a reason to grow. Elias read that line again and again. That night, for the first time, he wondered if his problem was not intelligence, but direction. From that day, Elias began asking a question he had never asked before. Why am I studying? Until then, the answer had always been vague, because teachers demanded it, because exams existed, because parents expected it. None of those reasons stirred his heart. So he searched for a reason of his own. Slowly, painfully, he realized something. He didn't want to be the boy who accepted limits decided by others. He wanted to prove, to himself, that his mind was not fixed. Elias began with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, but a clear internal command. I will become excellent in my studies no matter how long it takes. He wrote it on a piece of paper and placed it above his desk. At first, the words felt dishonest. But Napoleon Hill once believed that repeated thoughts shape belief, and belief shapes reality. Elias did not know that philosophy by name, but instinctively, he lived it. His habits did not change overnight. Many days he failed. He got distracted. He doubted himself. But something important had shifted. Instead of studying to avoid failure, he studied to build a future image of himself. Each night before opening his books, he closed his eyes and imagined a version of himself walking confidently into an exam hall, calm, prepared, focused. He imagined the feeling of knowing he had done his best. That image became fuel. Weeks turned into months. Elias stopped measuring progress by grades alone. He measured it by effort, by consistency, by the hours he showed up even when motivation was absent. Slowly, something strange happened. Concepts that once felt impossible became understandable, not easy, but reachable. His mind was responding to disciplined repetition. His confidence grew quietly, not loudly. But the real test came when he failed an important exam. The old Elias would have accepted it as proof of inadequacy. This new Elias felt the sting, but not defeat. Instead, he asked himself a powerful question. What is this failure trying to teach me? He reviewed his preparation honestly. He realized he had studied long hours but without focus. He had read, but not questioned, memorized but not applied. That failure became a lesson, not a verdict. Elias adjusted his methods. He began studying actively, teaching concepts out loud to an empty room, writing questions instead of copying notes, revising with intention. He learned that success in study was not about how long you sit with a book, but how deeply you engage with it. He also learned the value of controlled association. He spent less time with classmates who mocked effort, and more time with those who took learning seriously. Environment, he discovered, shapes mindset. There were moments of loneliness. Growth often isolates before it elevates. Some friends laughed at his discipline. Others accused him of trying too hard. But Elias remembered something written in his grandfather's notebook. The world respects results, not excuses. So he continued quietly. As years passed, Elias became known not as the smartest student, but as the most consistent. Teachers noticed. Opportunities appeared. Confidence followed action, not the other way around. When fear arose, Elias didn't wait for it to disappear. He acted despite it. That was another lesson. Courage is not the absence of fear, but obedience to purpose. One night before a major exam, Elias felt overwhelmed. The syllabus was vast. Doubt returned like an old enemy. He almost closed his books. Instead, he paused and spoke to himself, firmly and calmly. He reminded himself how far he had come. He reminded himself that effort compounds, that the mind strengthens under pressure, that every great achievement in history began as a thought supported by persistence. He slept that night with peace, not certainty of results, but certainty of effort. When the exam ended weeks later, Elias walked out with a quiet smile. He had done his part. Years later, Elias stood in a lecture hall addressing students who reminded him of his younger self, uncertain, anxious, doubtful. He told them a truth that had shaped his life. Your grades do not define your future. Your habits do. Your beliefs do. Your persistence does. He explained that success in study is not reserved for the gifted, but claimed by the disciplined. He spoke about the power of decision, that moment when a student stops drifting and starts directing their life. He spoke about imagination, not fantasy, but purposeful visualization. He spoke about persistence, showing up again and again even, when progress feels invisible. He spoke about faith, not religious faith, but faith in cause and effect. That effort applied intelligently always produces results. Most importantly, Elias told them this: never negotiate with your excuses. They are skilled liars. Instead, negotiate with your future. Ask it what it needs from you today. As the students listened, something shifted in the room. The same shift Elias had felt years ago reading his grandfather's words. A realization that success is not a mystery. It is a method. That night, one student stayed behind and asked, "What if I'm not smart enough?" Elias smiled gently. The mind is not measured by speed, but by direction. Point it toward growth, and it will follow. And so the cycle continued. One disciplined mind awakening another. One decision changing a life. One story proving what Napoleon Hill believed deeply, that thoughts backed by persistence shape destiny. The lesson was simple, but not easy. Study is not just about passing exams. It is about training the mind to focus, to endure, to believe, and to act. Master that, and no obstacle will ever fully stop you again.